Freedom means a lot of different things, I think, to a lot of different people. Freedom comes with a cost. It's not something that's free. You have to strive for it every day and you have to fight for it every day because there are people out there that their perception of freedom is you must agree with me, you must adhere to my particular values or morals or laws, and if you don't, then you're the enemy and I'm going to lock you up.
Count 1, conspiracy to interfere with commerce induced by the wrongful use of threatened force, violence, and fear, 20 years. Count 2, attempt to obstruct, delay, and affect commerce by extortion, 20 years. Count 3, attempt to obstruct, delay, and affect commerce by extortion, 20 years. Count 4, conspiracy to maliciously damage and destroy by means of fire and explosives, 20 years. Count 5, counseling, commanding, inducing, and procuring and willfully causing the commission of malicious damage and destruction by means of fire and explosives, mandatory 30 years to life. Count 6, counseling, commanding, inducing, and procuring and willfully causing the commission of malicious damage and destruction by means of fire and explosive, mandatory 30 years to life. Count 7, knowingly using and carrying, counseling, commanding, and inducing, promising, and willfully causing the use of a destructive device, a Molotov cocktail. Mandatory life, no discretion. Count 8, knowingly using and carrying, counseling, commanding, and inducing, promising, and willfully causing the use of a destructive device, a Molotov cocktail. Mandatory life, no discretion.
This film began as a tribute to Easy Rider. The idea was to follow George Christie, a former member of the Hells Angels, as he looked for America on his motorcycle, and to meet the people he found along the way. Easy Rider enchanted America's youth with images of free men on motorcycles rolling through the iconic American West. If there is a land of the free, then the best way to feel that freedom is on a motorcycle.
I think I got this inspiration to travel around the country, find out what other people are thinking, and do other people understand what's going on? Do other people see what I see? Have we learned anything since everyone put their name on that Declaration of Independence?
This image became the symbol of American freedom. First captured by the Outlaws of Hollister and emulated in films from The Wild One to Easy Rider. When Marlon Brando was asked, "What you rebelling against, Johnny?" and replied, "What you got?" he summed up the feelings of a generation and many generations to come. George Christie lived that freedom, and he was soon to find out that the pursuit of it came with a price. George's first stop was the home of Michael Blake, the American author and idealist, best known for his Academy Award-winning adaptation of his novel, Dances with Wolves. Michael had walked away from his Hollywood success, from his Oscar, from his Golden Globe, to rescue wild horses at his ranch in Arizona.
the whole thing about industrialization and capitalism has moved us away from life on this planet to a great degree. Whether it's wild horses or war or whatever, wild horses are destroyed because they're in the way. They're in the way of money. I moved out here not because I hate people. I love people. But I wanted to be removed for a certain degree of time every day from the society that we're in now. And I felt like being out here would give me a chance to think about things that are deeper. Wild horses, there were 2 or 3 million at the beginning of the 1900s. Now there's less than 15,000 running wild. They're going to become extinct shortly unless something is done to keep them out there.
It's the same as AIM. It's the same as Hell's Angels. It's people do not understand what the public in general does not understand what these organizations are about. People never understood what Indians were about.
This government, anytime they don't understand something or they don't agree with something, they want to impose their will on them no matter what.
The first horse Michael rescued was horse number 1202. 12, the king. 12 had a profound effect on Michael's life.
12's buried right under us, basically, here. And his sense of being privileged to be alive was so deep. And it wasn't about making money. It wasn't about being healthy. It wasn't about anything except just using your time to walk this earth. So what he taught me really was not to worry about dying and not to be concerned as deeply about other people leaving the earth. Life and death are exactly the same thing. And that's why we are connected with every bit of life on earth, because nothing lives. It only lives for a period of time. And, you know, just in a very small way, he made a big impact on my life. Horse number 1202. 20 years on the open range, 20 years of running, 20 years a stallion, answering to no one. Now he is horse number 1202, prowling a circular pen of steel, moving lightly over the soft earth, sniffing, waiting, moving again, unbowed. He's forced to acknowledge the man and woman inside the pen, avoiding them perfectly as he travels around and around. He looks through the people crowded in the stands, the children pushing toy trucks in the packed ground, the square white lunch truck standing in the back. He cares nothing for the flying flags, or the video cameras, or questions from the audience, or for what's missing from between his legs. It is the horizon. That is what holds his attention. The meeting place of sky and earth is the only destiny he has ever known. A gate opens, and he swings his magnificent black body around to face it. Now he treads carefully out, dancing on air, his wise head low for danger, his flowing tail arched, his monstrous neck rippling with power. In city traffic, I remember his eyes, so dark and wet, so full of God.
The crew returned to Ventura, California, to regroup and prepare for the next stage of shooting. Ventura was George's hometown. He was born here to Greek immigrant parents, pursuing the American dream. Ventura is where he lived with his wife, where he wanted to raise his children. In fact, his only time away was when he was serving his country as a Marine, and then again to join the Hells Angels, returning to create the Ventura chapter. He was a respected small business owner, running a tattoo shop and putting his martial arts expertise to good use as an instructor. He was a popular local hero. People looked up to him, wanted to shake his hand, get his autograph. As they were organizing themselves to head out to the East Coast to continue filming, the FBI raided his home and arrested him for some alleged incidents in 2007.
Freedom means a lot of different things, I think, to a lot of different people. Freedom comes with a cost. It's not something that's free. You have to strive for it every day, and you have to fight for it every day, because there are people out there that their perception of freedom is, you must agree with me, you must adhere to my particular values, our morals, our laws, and if you don't, then you're the enemy and I'm going to lock you up.
He was taken under armed guard to Los Angeles. Despite making bail, his paperwork was repeatedly lost, and he spent the next 3 weeks in the federal detention center in Los Angeles. He was then confined to house arrest and forbidden to work, forbidden to drive his son to school, or do much of anything, except wait. And wait, and wait. Slowly they picked at George's life. His business suffered. He was denied the right to earn a living. All this while still allegedly being an innocent man.
So what is happening now? What are the charges against you?
Arson, interference of commerce, and intimidation.
What do they say?
They're saying that I ordered some fire bombings.
Did you?
Absolutely not.
My name's Christie. I am a criminal defense attorney. I've been an attorney for approximately 15 years now. Throughout the years, I've probably represented more Hells Angels than any other attorney. I'm George's eldest daughter. So back in August of 2011, my father was arrested by the FBI, and there was an 8-count criminal indictment that was filed against him by the federal government. My understanding is that there were some allegations that he participated or was the head of a conspiracy that dealt with some arsons that occurred in Ventura County back in, I believe it was 2007. I think they saw it as a final attempt and a final chance to take him down, for lack of a better term. I think a lot of what the prosecution was about was the fact that they wanted information from my dad. given the fact that he had stepped down and was no longer an active part of the Hells Angels, I believe that the federal government thought that they could charge him with something and that they would offer him the chance to remove himself from the prosecution by giving information. And in fact, when he refused to do that, they actually increased the severity of the charges and the punishment that would come if he was found guilty.
The men who actually committed the fire bombings in Ventura were allegedly hired by the FBI. They were promised immunity, large bonuses, and a new start in life if George was convicted. The core idea in the current practice of federal law is to ensure that suspects are punished, even if they are eventually found innocent, even if prosecutors know all along that those suspects are innocent. This is the way the government punishes nonconformists and social discontents.
There's 6 or 7 charges against me now, and they've added 2 924Cs, and apparently if I'm found guilty of those, I'll be spending the rest of my life in prison. It's a mandatory life sentence. Now, what's interesting, initially, I wasn't even allowed to come out into the yard. I had to stay in the house and not leave the domicile, as I had it explained to me. And my first night home, our house is, quite a few square feet, and I got Ruby's having a little snack. I got a phone call, and my pretrial service guy introduced himself. And he said, "This is so-and-so from pretrial services," and he goes, "I thought we asked you not to go outside the domicile." And I said, "Well, I haven't left." And he goes, "Well, how big's your house?" And I said, "I don't know, 5,000-6,000 square feet." And he goes, "Oh," he goes, "do me a favor." He goes, "I'm gonna hang up the phone," and he goes, "I want you to go outside. I want you to walk the perimeter of the yard." So I went outside, walked the perimeter of the yard, and then he called me back and said, "Oh, no wonder." He said, "We thought you were leaving the house." That is how precise these things are.
George had worn a bullseye for decades. Because he is articulate and reasonable, and because he has eyes that appear wise even on television, he became a public spokesman for the Hells Angels. Consequently, he was branded as an enemy of the state. Typically, motorcycle outlaws are punished by SWAT raids, mass media public shaming, the humiliation and often the assault of their families, the seizure of their liquid intangible assets, and some form of incarceration which results in prolonged unemployment. But who was George Christie? What was all the fuss about?